have you played Streets of Rage 4 at all? No, I've seen it. It's one of the reasons why I wanted to play this, is because it reminded me this franchise existed. I'm definitely interested. Right now, money is very much in a not great place for me. So I think it's $30 new at the moment, and it's too much for a side-scrolling beat 'em up. You know, I just can't. Trying to, you know, and then I say things like that, and then I turned around and bought this today, which was like 12 bucks. So it's like, obviously I have some money. It's just getting over that mental hurdle of like $30 or whatever is kind of a lot, or 25 or whatever it was. I'll play it eventually, I guess. I'm actually not a huge fan of beat 'em ups, modern beat 'em ups. I like older ones, you know, Final Fight, Streets of Rage, some of those type games, but something about new ones just doesn't appeal to me very much. But it looked good. I saw someone play about a half hour of it and looked solid, so I'm interested. Has anyone in chat played it? I'm curious about opinions from people who actually like the franchise, because basically I watched someone play about half hour of it, and they really liked it, but they also stated that they had never played the old ones, so I'm curious if it like holds up. I saw some of the character models look extremely similar. Xbox Game Pass has it. Yeah, I basically Xbox, I never play it, but then every like 2 or 3 months they'll give me an offer where it's like, you can try Game Pass for $1. So that's definitely a possibility. I will look into that, because I am a huge fan of the franchise. And I, again, would hate to spend a bunch of money on it and then have it turn out I don't like it. I did that with, like, every time I buy a game, I end up not playing it on the channel. Like, I bought, what was that game I just bought? One Step from Eden, which is like a roguelite, kind of an arcadey shooter style deck buildy roguelite. It's a whole mess of genres kind of mushed together. And the game's fantastic, but like my brain didn't work. It's a little bit fast-paced and technical, and I absolutely could not give commentary while also playing. So I ended up scrapping it. It was like, well, there goes $15 that I basically, you know, got no content out of. So played about 2 hours. It feels and sounds like Streets of Rage, but with some improvements. Yeah, I mean, that's ultimately what I hope for, is like, you know, you get the nostalgia aspect of, oh, I get to see recognizable characters or enemies from the old games, but it has a lot of the quality of life improvements that you would expect from a game from 2020, right? Because like I like this game a lot, but there's some stuff that's rough around the edges. Some of the hitbox with grabbing enemies can be problematic, and you know, the repetitive kind of like the same 6 death sounds over and over, that kind of stuff that you would expect to improve by 2020. So yeah, definitely interested. I'll have to check that out on Game Pass. Plus, you don't see a lot of like modern day arcade style games come out. They're just not that popular. I like modern retro style games a lot. Yeah, it's one of the things that I liked about, I mean, really any game. Like One Step from Eden is an easy example because I just mentioned it, with that kind of pixely older art style. I like things like that. You know, obviously Spelunky was very reminiscent of like arcade platformy type stuff, which is great, and it's like a modern take on it where it's solid graphics, good controls, you know, reliable gameplay, whereas, you know, in an arcade back in the day, it would have been a coin gobbler, right, where they would have made it intentionally difficult to get you to spend money, etc. So I really like when modern games take on older styles, if that all makes sense. It's hard to talk while I'm playing, so sometimes I say things and I don't actually know if I'm being coherent or if I'm just rambling, because I like to have constant, oh, it's the baseball guy, to have constant dialogue going, basically, which leads to a little bit of rambling. We're going to stun lock this guy. They have a couple attacks, and what's funny is if we try to body slam him, because he's so big, it will actually knock our character over. and we'll fall to the ground. I don't think we take damage from it, but it definitely will topple us. They also have a flame spit attack, which is like... Of course they do. Why would they spit flame? It doesn't make any sense. So the issue here is that we're actually on a relatively small, odd-shaped platform. And as we progress, the enemies are going to start coming in with kicks from above. So if we're anywhere near where they land, we're going to get knocked down. So just try to avoid just like that. So try to avoid that for the most part. Oh, this game takes me back, man. Like I 100% am playing this for the nostalgia. Pixel art games really do it for me. I feel like you're more likely to get a solid game when the graphics aren't the focus. 100%. That is more or less precisely how I feel. A lot of the games that I really like that have depth of mechanics and stuff like that, they tend to be lower graphical quality, like, or tile sets. I really, I actually, at this point, I think I prefer games with tile sets, you know, just because it's a low, like, I really enjoyed the depth of roguelikes and things like that, but when I was a kid, it was really hard to play games in ASCII. It really has always bothered my eyes, and that has gotten way worse as I've gotten older. So, like, obviously, we died. Something like Cataclysm has a ton of depth to it, a lot of fun aspects to it, and it's a relatively low graphical quality, right? It's just these little 2D sprites in a tile set and things like that. So I'm definitely really tolerant of those things. I know some people don't like it, but it's right up my alley. So I had high hopes for Streets of Rogue, is for some reason the one that pops in my head when I think about low quality graphical appearance. I mean, there are tons of games, especially zombie games that come out that are of low graphical fidelity. I hate this guy. If you grapple him for more than like a fraction of a second, he will do that. Apparently he does it also when you punch him. So you can't really grapple him and you can't really stun lock him, which is like 90% of my attack, is to stun lock people and then do the uppercut. So if we can grab him quickly, we can get some attacks off, but I wouldn't bank on it. And we get iframes through the animation, but by the time we finish, he's doing it and he'll hit us. There's another life. There's another one. I don't know. And yeah, it's like it gives more room for depth of the game. Like Stardew Valley is the other one that popped into my head, where like, despite the fact that it looks not amazing, I played hundreds of hours of Stardew Valley. Man, we're getting absolutely wrecked. We're going to lose another life here. And unfortunately, this isn't even the last time we'll see this boss. He will come back later in the game, and it's just as difficult then. So, on the plus side, if we can kill him, we can fully heal between levels. So if we can just polish off this last little bit of health. Nope. Okay. Irishman says, top games on Steam: RimWorld, Factorio, and Terraria. Terraria, I still don't know how to say that. Yeah, all three of those games are excellent examples of lower graphic games that are fantastic. Factorio, I mean, honestly, Factorio is like, I don't know, I could spend an eternity playing Factorio and just gradually building things up. Top hours played. RimWorld, I mean, I tried playing RimWorld. There are some issues I have with it. I like to build underground, and it seems like the developer went way out of his way to make that way more unpleasant and difficult, and the AI knowing exactly where to go when they come sap into your base and stuff. That always really frustrated me. But RimWorld is a fantastic game as well. And Terraria as well. I played Terraria when it first came out, and like, beat the game, beat all the bosses, I think, most of the bosses anyway, and got to, is that the one where you, once you beat it, this was like 6 years ago, something like that, when it first came out, and I played it on my Xbox, because I didn't really have a PC, I think that's the one where when you beat it, you up the difficulty level and go just do it again, basically. I don't really remember. And then I tried playing Terraria like 5 months ago and just couldn't get back into it. But it's definitely one that many people have lost a huge portion of their lives for sure. Man, I love Factorio. I know that that's another one, you know. I feel like a lot of people I talk to don't actually like that game, and it's super, super good. It is tedious. It's a lot of repetition of placing conveyors and all that stuff, but it's so good. I'd love to play that again. I haven't really played that in a while either. Yeah, those are, like, we've had discussions about this on Discord. AAA games, they're going downhill hard over the last couple of years. I find a lot of the companies, any publicly traded company, you know, Activision, Blizzard, these people they're huge companies, but they become beholden to the shareholders. It's like at that point you're making decisions that benefit your bottom line but actively hurt the game. And indie games are like, they're all I care about at this stage. It's very rare I get hyped for a mainstream game. I am playing Call of Duty Warzone a little bit, which I know is Activision, and they have some bad practices. The game's just fantastic. It's hard to argue with that. But like 99% of what I play is indie games, small developers, a lot of open source type stuff. Here we got the Kickboxer enemy for the first time. They have a lot of reach to them, which can be an issue, but if we just throw guys at them and kind of hit them from the right angle, we'll be okay. And we have another of the bartenders to fight here, which is not an easy fight either. I think he has a lot more health this time, and he's really difficult to grapple. But indie games are the future, man. And of course all the roguelites and stuff, a lot of those go the open source route, which I love open source stuff. I think it's fantastic. You got me, Wayne. Good job. He's also slightly tinted a different color, so I'm gonna try to throw this guy at him. The more we can throw enemies as well, we can hit other enemies. It gives us the benefit of knocking them down and giving us a chance to kind of reposition or whatever. Come on, man. Love open source stuff. It's more complex than a lot of people want in a game, and I get that. But yeah, if you get bored with it, you can install, I can't read, C block, Curandon. I don't know what these things are, and you're playing a completely different game. It's worth the 14 bucks I spent. I mean, I don't know. I've never been one to like do the modding thing. I know that people love it. I really do prefer to play games vanilla. You know, again, Cataclysm, easy example. I just prefer the vanilla game over a heavily modded game. I know some people go nuts for like, you know, oh, I played Skyrim with 1,200 mods. It's like, yeah, but Skyrim is fine on its own. You know, you don't need to necessarily mod the crap out of it. And I get that there's a community for that in basically every game, and you can, you know, tailor make games to your own, you know, what you want out of them, but just never got into modding. Like people mod the crap out of Minecraft. It's like, can't you just play Minecraft? Like Minecraft was the most popular game in the universe there for a while, and it was for a good reason. The game is enjoyable as it stands right out of the box, you know. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it just doesn't really appeal to me. I'm not much of a modding person either, generally into the games for what they're advertised as, not what I can turn them into. Yeah, I mean, that more or less sums it up, I guess. Again, I don't think there's anything wrong with it, it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't know, there's something appealing about knowing that, like, people who made the game put love and care into it, you know, and they balance, like, that's the thing, like, right, and again, God, Cataclysm is always the easy example here. Cataclysm as a game is balanced around the core gameplay experience. It's not balanced around rando mods that people add to the game. It's balanced in all aspects to be balanced in vanilla, not to be balanced against Like, you know, every now and then you'll see somebody who like has a super modded game and they're like, oh man, tanks are like the worst thing in Cataclysm, I wish they weren't here, you know, blah blah whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, they were actually, you know, removed from vanilla Cataclysm, so like you're complaining about the balance of the game because you damaged the balance of your game by modding things into it. Does that make sense? So you know, and it's just nice to know that this is what a team of people put together, and they balanced it, and they, you know, play tested it, and they, I don't know what I'm trying to say. I prefer games that exist as they are. I just like that if I need something fresh or new, I can do it, or if there's a mechanic I don't like, there's probably a mod that lets you do it how you want. I mean, 100%, that's true. Like I complained about RimWorld, one of my biggest complaints about RimWorld, if you build under a mountain, you get the infestations, and you get sappers that will come to your base, and the sappers actually, their AI knows exactly where your stuff is, so they don't need to path through your defenses, they'll just dig through a mountain. So like those are my two biggest complaints about that game. When I played RimWorld, I modded out infestations because I wanted to build underground, and I didn't want to have to deal with a constant infestation. So like, yeah, you can remove the mechanics if they're problematic. I don't know, I prefer vanilla games. It's rare that I mod something. Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a good example of a game where I really go out of my way to mod it. Minecraft comes to mind, because like, you know, every server you would want to join, people mod the game like crazy, but I don't think I really did any of it. Oh, this guy is also a tough boss, and we're gonna have to fight another version of him later. I definitely want this now. Just gonna throw dudes at him. No, don't do that. Bear, our bear, red probably. I remember having a lot of trouble with this guy as well when I was a kid. I never really, the only time I ever got this far in the game was when I played with my uncle, and he was doing all the work. I guess that's what happens when you get a boss straight out of Super Punch-Out. It's just not. Or no, regular Punch-Out was, which one had Soda Popinski? That was, that's this dude, basically. Don't do that. What is wrong with you? I don't want to die. Oh, you son of a bitch. Okay. Man, I haven't played Punch-Out in like 15 years. Maybe I ought to play that sometime. I was never good at that. That game absolutely wrecked me. I don't know if I don't know if anyone played old Punch-Out, especially if you played it in the arcade. Someone told me it's a super rare machine that really wasn't popular, but like when I was a kid, they had Punch-Out in the arcade, and absolutely got wrecked. Yeah, legitimate complaints. The sappers make me nuts. Yeah, I just I'm a big fan of open-ended type stuff, and you know, when you go out of your way to make it difficult to build into a mountain, I get it, you know, for balance reasons. You're trying to make it so like because it's super easy, it's super defensible. If you don't have sappers, if you don't have infestations, there's no drawback to building in a mountain or whatever. You're basically getting free, very thick walls. At the same time, I believe you should enable people to play kind of how they want for the most part. You know, every now and then that'll come up with Cataclysm. People are like, I want to play this way. You know, you're not facilitating me to play that way. And that's oftentimes I will defend the devs and be like, yeah, well, they make you play the way that kind of is intended and balanced and whatever. But then there are times, definitely, I'm a hypocrite, and I play games like that where I'm like, I really want to play my way, and you're not helping me do that. So, I don't know. I'm a hypocrite. It fluctuates game to game. Multiple kickboxers. Not great. I don't even remember this level, to be honest with you. I don't remember ever being on a beach before. Okay, fellas, I need you to stop with this. Getting our butt kicked. Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. He did look like Soda Popinski, that's right. I forget what his real name was. Soda Popinski was like the censored version. I think Drunkinski, something. Vodka maybe? Vodka Drunkinski or something like that. Stop, dude. You're gonna get in trouble. Mom said to stop hitting me. I think RimWorld wants to be much more of a game than other similar things like Dwarf Fortress. I don't really know what that means. In Dwarf Fortress, it's totally trivial to hide in total safety. RimWorld wants to be constantly causing problems. Yeah, from that perspective, I hear what you're saying, and that is what I hear from people when because I've complained about RimWorld and I've said, look, I don't like this aspect. And I got a lot of pushback, and people were like, "Oh, you know, in Dwarf Fortress, it's this way." And I don't know if the dev actually came out and said like, "We don't want this," or what his deal is. I don't really know the dude. I don't follow development, but from what I heard on YouTube comments, that seemed to be the argument. Was like, well, he didn't want it to be you hide under a mountain like you can in other games. So. I still have not played Dwarf Fortress. It's one of the most requested things I hear about. I think people just see that I play Cataclysm and assume I would like Dwarf Fortress, but honestly, the game, once it gets, so if you don't know, Dwarf Fortress is supposed to be getting a Steam release at some point, where they're going to be doing like, you know, it comes with graphics and stuff like that, and through the interface of Steam, so like you don't have to download pre-packaged versions of the game or anything. It'll just be through Steam. Once it gets that release, I will consider playing it, but like I tried playing Dwarf Fortress like 2 years ago and I hated every second of it. I hated the look of it. I didn't like the controls. I'm not even that big of a fan of dwarves as a concept, so maybe I'm biased, I don't know, but yeah, it did not appeal to me at all, and I sort of just bailed on it very quickly. Was not having fun with Dwarf Fortress. We're losing a lot of lives here. The difficulty seems to have spiked quite a bit. They're throwing more and more boss enemies at us. Like on this level alone, I think we've hit 4 or 5 boss enemies at this point. I think that's place loads of people are in. They're waiting on improvements and the Steam release. Yeah, I mean, honestly, if I could just get it delivered to me, like, because when I tried to play it a couple years ago, I looked online and, you know, I checked out some Dwarf Fortress YouTubers and stuff, because everybody talks about this game like, oh, this is the pinnacle of kind of, you know, this ASCII type gaming, and it lets you so much freedom and cool stuff. And you know, I looked into it. I watched some footage, you know, and watched a guide on installing it and all that stuff, and it was like, oh, you can download it directly, but it's not really the optimal one. You kind of want it. Okay, come on, motorcycle. You want to download this package that this guy made, and if you watch, you know, if you go here, you can download this suspicious package from Mega Upload or whatever, and install it that way. And it was like, I'd really be more inclined to play it if you just delivered it to my Steam account, and you know, plus then I can give you a few bucks, you know, and support, you know, the development of an indie game. I had to watch hours of YouTube videos to get anything going. Yeah, I mean, again, I'm not an expert, but I did look into it at one point. Man, we're getting wrecked. Spent many hours playing it. I only really got into it thanks to the wiki being super useful. Imagine playing a game where the wiki was up to date. I can't even imagine. That's a jibe at the Cataclysm wiki, which is, I think it's getting some love now, but has been out of date for a really long time, if I remember right. Because I remember coming to play Cataclysm and people being like, oh, check the wiki, and then it was just crazy wrong. Crazy wrong all the time. Especially, I mean, some of the stuff is valuable, but ultimately not. You again? Not very appealing to me. Man, we're getting wrecked. We're also running out of lives. You do get continues in this game, but it resets your score, and I'm not sure how many lives you get. Oh, dude, come on. Stupid chimp thing. I don't know, Blanca? From Blanca mixed with Vega, I guess? Was Vega the one with claws? I don't even remember. It's been an eternity since I played Street Fighter games. I think he was removed from recent Street Fighters as well. I haven't seen him. I watched Street Fighter Finals and stuff. Come on with this. We just need to kill one and get them out of here. The jet guy is like no threat, but because we're focusing on the chimp dude, he's getting some free shots in, which I hate. Come on, dude. Okay. I'm starting to panic a little bit and spam my spam buttons instead of actually trying to... Oh my god. I do think the counter goes down to 0, so even if we die... Oh, and killing one of them killed both of them? I didn't realize that. And we did level up, which is nice. Or we got a 1-up. It's hard when you're not targeting stables. I have a similar experience. Came from Dwarf Fortress and expected the wiki to be useful, and it was not. The running joke with Cataclysm was half the information is out of date, half is just wrong, and half is wishful thinking. That is humorous. I think when I started out, I remember trying to learn about mutations, and I think a lot of the mutagen information was accurate when I mean, this at this point was 2 years ago, so take that with a grain of salt, because it's been, actually, I think I've been playing this game for like 3 years now. God, that's weird to think about. To think that you've been part of the community for 3 years is pretty impressive. But anyway, yeah, when I started years ago, the mutagen stuff was pretty up to date because I didn't understand mutagen. I mean, I still don't understand mutagen at all. But a lot of the basic information, like the different trees, it had a lot of information about what mutations belonged in which, you know, are they called trees? I don't know what you call them. Lines, mutation lines. So that was helpful, but I still don't understand mutation. Still, I don't like mutating at all in that game, to be honest with you. I know that's an unpopular opinion, but... So those are grenades. We saw them earlier, and I didn't comment on them. They're also conveyor belts. You know what's interesting is the soundtrack to this game actually has that added to it. So like if you listen to the soundtrack of this game directly, there was never a proper soundtrack, so you only get it with the game sounds in it. So like that earlier level where we were fighting the bartender and it was raining, that soundtrack actually has the sound of the rain in the soundtrack because it's part of the track. And then there's a level here with conveyor belts where they're much louder, if I recall correctly, and those are also picked up by the soundtrack. Branches. Okay, mutation branches. Mutagen branch. Whatever. I don't do it. I don't support mutating. I don't believe in mutating. You know, keep America human is a big political statement I have to make. It's the platform I'm going to run on. Come on now. So I'm surprised my family hasn't come home yet. Usually by the time I get 45 minutes in, there's someone in the house making a bunch of noise. My brother has been working again, which is nice because he actually goes out of the house for once. And then my other family member, DoorDashes. Oh, definitely want the 1-up. The reason we pushed up, basically it exposed us now to both the ninja and the whip woman. But the 1-up would disappear after a short period of time, which we really did not want to happen. And we died anyway, so, you know, was it worth it? Who knows? Probably not. You would vote for me with my Keeping America Human platform? I mean, it's 2020, man. You're supposed to be open-minded. I mean, we can't really do anything with the turkey. My other family member DoorDashes and is away all afternoon, so trying to find that space where I can stream, you know, basically every day, because that's what people want is daily streams. They don't want, hey, every Thursday, Tuesday, and sometimes Sunday, and maybe on Saturday as well, and it'll be between 2 and 6 p.m. when I go live. I have no idea when exactly I'll go live, but go live eventually. People don't want that, you know. Okay, we're getting destroyed here. The conveyor belt placement is problematic because it keeps pushing them off to the side of the screen. and we can't get them close enough to stack up damage. And they both have these jumping attacks, which are really sticking it to me, if I'm being honest. Okay, I killed one, thankfully. She should be no problem if we can get her isolated. Okay, yeah. See, you know, funny thing, when I stream or do a YouTube video, right there I have like 3 seconds of silence, which is a very insignificant amount of time. If you watch Twitch, people are quiet for way longer than that. But that little bit of silence makes me super uncomfortable, and my brain says, oh, you're blowing it. You have to talk every second of every video. Just a little bit of insight that I know most people don't care about. Also trying to dial in the stream settings. I've been looking at the Cataclysm stuff I streamed last week to break it up for YouTube, and I'm finding the quality is a little bit low. It's not exactly what I need it to be. It doesn't look nearly as good as my my YouTube direct recording stuff. And then today, C Black said that the VODs are always 720p, which is not great. I don't know if that's true yet. I'm streaming 16 by 9 right now, or 1600 by 900 to try and up the. It's a whole thing, you know. Nobody cares, but like Twitch transcoding is not great when you're a low-level streamer. So like if you stream at 1080p, a lot of people on mobile won't be able to watch, and if you're alienating your audience, then you're never going to grow, and if you never grow, you're never going to get the high transcoding settings, and it's a whole thing. So trying to dial in some of the quality stuff, trying to take care of things. Honestly, I'm impressed. It must be hard to keep talking for so long. I mean, maybe if you were a lesser human being, it would be difficult. No, I mean, it's hard to have things to say. Twitch is definitely a little bit easier because I can talk to you people and just say, hey, like if I run out of something to talk about, I can just say, hey, chat, you know, what's going on? Somebody give me a jumping off point and we'll talk forever. The actual act of talking is rough on my voice, but like I can go, I'd never shut up. Like I have no problem talking forever. It's not a big deal. Oh, you don't get 0 lives. So we lose. I'm not gonna, who cares? It won't let me, there we go. So we do have continues. I have no idea how long I've been streaming. I could do with a smoke, to be honest with you. Live for 1 hour and 3 minutes. Yeah, perfect time for me to pop off and have a smoke, and I have to pee, frankly. So I'm going to do that. I guess I'll leave the music running, and I'll be back momentarily. So up, and definitely should put up the overlay. That's why I made this stupid BRB. I really need to work on my stream like appearance stuff. So I need a proper overlay. I can't just put BRB on a stupid overlay. That's not good enough. I need to put like, you know, proper graphic stuff. I have to set up local recording for uploading to YouTube because downloading and cutting up the VODs suck. Yeah, unfortunately with my current setup, I have a single computer setup and it's not super great. So I actually can't stream and record at the same time with any level of quality. So it's just not an option. I have to cut up the VODs or record exclusively for YouTube. So again, it's something I'm trying to work out. I've been doing some dummy recording, streaming on my my fake account that I use for testing stream settings. I'm hoping to get that sorted out in some capacity in the near future because I'm not really happy with where that's at. But again, I've only been streaming for a couple days. Hopefully that all gets dialed in. Hopefully I learn how to do those sort of things. I'm going to do more testing. I think with Cataclysm, I should be able to record and stream at the same time because it's such a low intensity game. But like I said, I was trying to set up Dead Island the other night, and just streaming, the quality was bad. So like I know streaming and recording would be absolutely impossible. But with something low resource like Cataclysm, maybe can do that, and definitely is something I'm going to be trying next time I stream. So but anyway, I'm going to pop over here for a minute to have a smoke and get a drink and use the restroom. So I will be back in probably like 5-ish minutes. I know it's not great to just bail on people, but I'll be back momentarily.